Hey everybody, this is Nick Burns with N&T Railroad. So I'm currently editing the video you're about to watch, and I just uploaded all the footage and realized that I completely filmed the whole thing in, portrait mode instead of landscape mode. And I know that bothers some people, so I just wanted to apologize for that. And if you could give it a shot, there's some great content in it. And yeah, I hope you really enjoy it. This one's a very personal video for me. So without further ado, here you go. Hey everybody, this is Nick Burns with N&T Railway. We have a little bit of a different video today. We're actually at Lone Mountain, which is about a 2.4 mile hiking trail all the way around the mountain. And we're going to go on a walk today, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why I started this company. So if you're interested in learning exactly why I started this, let's go for a walk. So exactly where do I begin? I'm filming this on Thursday. We actually launch our website tomorrow. And I wanted to do this walk because it's been a wild ride these last 2 years. And I don't know how well this video is going to turn out. I didn't come into it with a plan or a script, but I just figured this walk would allow me to ponder on what's happened over the last year and how we got to this point. So where does it all begin? Starting in 2012, instead of going to college or anything like that, I graduated high school and I actually started working right in the entertainment industry. I know I live here in Las Vegas, but I actually lived and grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I was an East Coast boy and decided to come out west and pursue my career in the entertainment industry. Most people want to be singers or dancers or anything like that. But all the way since I was a little kid, and my Uncle Donnie took me to my first concert, which was Rush, and we sat 5 rows back right in front of Geddy Lee. And watching all the lights and the stage and everything, as soon as I saw that, I knew that was something I wanted to do. So I came out here, and one thing led to another, and I started off locally, and then I started touring. I've toured with the circus, I've toured with rock bands, hip hop, pop, Broadway, you name it. It really was a dream of mine. And I traveled across the United States to 48 of the 50 states multiple times on multiple tours. I traveled all through Europe and Asia, all the way to Australia, and I've been across the globe multiple times, and it was my dream and my passion. And some people would go out for 2 or 3 months, and I was the guy that they could count on that would go out for 12, 14, 16 months, to the point where I didn't even have a home. I just put all my stuff in storage, and I would go from tour to tour, and it was my life, and I loved it. Now you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with trains? What does that have to do with the company or anything like that? And we'll get there. So in 2020, we all know the pandemic hit. The entertainment industry was one of the first companies, or industries I should say, that went under. And everything closed, locked up, that was it. And for a year, I basically sat there and worked locally. I drove a 48-foot box truck all across the country with different medical supplies and things like that. But it wasn't what I loved. It wasn't what I did. You know, And it got so bad that I ended up losing my house and everything else. And I had to move actually in with my grandparents. They took me in, gave me a room, and I helped take care of their property. And I got a job down at the hard chrome mill. And it was a life, but I knew it wasn't the life I wanted to do. So after about 6 months of that, they helped me, and they knew I wasn't happy, and they helped me get all the way back to Vegas. And I wasn't in Vegas for more than 24 hours before I got an opportunity to go back out on the road. And it was like the heavens opened up and everything was fantastic. And I traveled all through Mexico and then Europe and the United States, and I was back living my best life, like some people like to say. So fast forward to 2022, we were setting up a show down in Miami, Florida, and we were setting up these big steel set pieces. And we had forklifts and the whole shebang. And every city we would go to, we had our core crew, but then we would hire a bunch of local guys, usually Teamsters or union guys or whoever it may be. Every city has their different rules and laws. So I could work with just about anybody. And this one guy who was helping me move this big piece, it was heavy. And I still remember it like it was yesterday. Decided to let the piece go, look at me, say, F you, I'm not doing this, stormed off. And in that moment, I felt this shock go all the way through my spine. And I knew something was wrong. So we finished. I had a couple of my people come over, make sure everything was safe. And then I went into the office and explained what happened. Next day, went and got x-rays. None of the x-rays said anything. I didn't break anything. So I was like, okay, I must have just pulled something, I'm fine. So I continued to work, and I worked for probably another 6 months until I finally was able to come home and go see my own doctor. He recommended that I go get an MRI, and it turns out that I basically blew out my entire bottom of my back. You see, what a lot of people don't know is that your spinal cord is supposed to be 7 millimeters away from your spine. And mine was deteriorated so bad, I was only at 1.2. And it was looking bleak. I got to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. I would sit on the couch or lay in bed, and my dear wife, who, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have made it, would help carry me to the living room or to the bathroom or anything. And it was one of the hardest moments of my life. And I dealt with that for about 6 months before I was finally able to get surgery, where they went in and basically replaced my whole lower spine. They fused all the discs together, put in a bunch of scaffolding, all kinds of screws and rods. And I had to start again. I had to figure out who I was going to be, because a decade plus of touring wasn't going to be possible anymore. You know, I could do it, but the risk of my health was just too much. So this walk, this is the first time I've walked more than 2 miles without my walking cane, without anybody with me, any assistance. And I'll be honest with you, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know how this video is going to turn out. But we're about a third of the way. So we're doing good so far. You can see big old mountain, and eventually in a video, maybe 6 months from now, my goal is to be able to climb to the top of that. So we'll get there. So I'm somebody that can't sit still. I always need to be doing something, and being bedridden was torture in itself because I couldn't move, I couldn't travel. I would look at things in the house that I wanted to work on. I couldn't do any of that. So I decided to grab my laptop and look at my trains and start teaching myself how to 3D design. One thing led to another, and I came up with our first roadbed piece. But once I was done with that, I sat there and said, well, what am I going to do now? So then I found another train track piece, different sizes, and I kept building. I kept growing to the point where when you look at the website, all those pieces, all those lines, everything else I created in some of the worst times of my life. But that's what kept me going, is being able to make those pieces and create something. And I couldn't physically get out, but mentally building those pieces was my escape. You know, this track bed system, it is me on a piece. And I know that probably sounds stupid or sounds crazy or doesn't even make sense. But when I wasn't able to think because I was in so much pain or wasn't able to go anywhere, you know, this accident, it really ate at me and put me in some dark places. And being able to create these things are what kept me above water. That and my beautiful wife. If it wasn't for her, I said it before, and I will say it till the day I die. She never once questioned a thing. She was always there, and she continues to be there all the way with all my crazy ideas and everything else. So she's the real MVP here. So as time went on, you know, I wasn't able to work, so bills kept stacking up, things kept getting worse. And I'm fortunate enough that I had a great job and I was able to save a good amount of money and pay those medical bills. But that can only help for so long. So I decided to take something that, you know, was a passion of mine that I created. You know, those pieces, those track clips, the way they go together, the way everything fits, it's 100% my design. So then it got me thinking, how do I turn a negative into a positive? And I thought, well, let me show a couple people this and see what they think. And the outpour was fantastic. So much so that I thought, well, maybe this could work. You know, I knew that my job, I would never be able to do my job again. So how do I do something that gives me that fulfillment? So what do I do? So I decided to take this thing that I've worked countless months on, spent hundreds if not thousands of hours on, and really make it something special and something I could be proud of. So just know that when you're looking at these products and the website and everything else, this wasn't designed by somebody in an office with a design degree or anything like that. I've loved trains ever since I was born. There was always one in my hand, and I was always playing with them, from HO to Lionel to LGB. I was never one of those kids growing up that had a controller in their hand. Well, I did have a controller. It was just attached to a train track with the train going around instead of a TV screen, because that was always my passion. I truly get this feeling of joy every time I set up a train and see it going around the Christmas tree or around my room or pretty much anywhere. You know, traveling around the world, I always made it a point, whether it was a local hobby shop or a train museum or anything, would always go to those places, because that was my escape. That's where I could really enjoy something that I had in my childhood and I brought into my adult life. And now I want it to be my life. And I can't do that without you guys. So I'm really hoping, I keep saying it, but really, if you guys see the website go down one day, just know I tried my hardest and I put my life and soul into this. Because again, this is more than just a business. You know, I've put my heart and soul into this, from the packaging to the product to everything. And I want you guys to know that and know how much I really care about this. And when you get it, I really genuinely hope you enjoy it, because I'm so proud of it. And I keep saying that, but it's because I never thought I would be able to do something like this. You know, as I was just saying, I wasn't a video game kid. I wasn't a computer guy or anything like that. So to teach myself design and the computer and everything else and really come up with something tangible is something that I never thought I could do. And that just goes to show you, if you put your mind to something, no matter what, you can do it. You know, one of the biggest things I hate is when people say they can't do something. Because as long as you're willing to put the work in, you can do it. You know, since my accident, my surgery, I never knew if I was going to be the person I was. You know, people would always call me because they knew I was strong as an ox and I could help them move anything and pick anything up. And then I went to this person where I could barely pick up the coffee pot or my coffee cup for that matter. And I had to push myself and learn again. You know, and it's a hard thing. I was just at the doctor's about a week ago, and I found out that I've been pushing myself so hard that I actually snapped one of the titanium screws in my back. Didn't know you could do that. So, you know, take everything with a grain of salt, and you'll have setbacks. But as long as you set your mind to it, and you're smart about it and everything else, you can do anything. I truly believe that. So that's how we got to the place we are today. You know, we are an official company. We got our LLC. We got our machines because we want to keep everything in-house. If you look into getting anything, you know, manufactured or stuff like that overseas, they want a minimum of, you know, 1,000 orders, 10,000 orders, 50,000 orders, you know, and they have to make the molds, and it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I didn't have that. So these little machines really are my lifesaver. And they've allowed me to create something actually tangible right in my office. You know, that I'm hoping you guys have watched some of the videos, and if you haven't, go check them out. And there's so many great things to come. I have a plethora of designs for O scale and S scale and even different G-scale stuff. But I didn't want to overextend myself and make something and sell something that I couldn't produce. So if you guys are willing to come on this journey with me, then we'll continue to create, and I'll launch more things and show more things and make this the company that I can be proud of, and hopefully you can too. We just got to get to the bottom of this hill, right to the parking lot, and then we made it. So we're almost there. Just got to keep our mind going, and we're going to make it. So that's my story in a nutshell. You know, I could probably tell 100 stories and go all over the place. And this video, again, is probably a little all over the place. But this is something that I'm still learning how to do. You know, I never, and I've said this in other videos, but I never had any ambitions on being on social media. If you look at my actual social media, I haven't posted in years because that's just not something that I do or have ever been comfortable with. You know, so to go out here and, you know, tell everybody and just release that to the world is a scary thing for me. And I'm just hoping that it's well received and you guys understand where I'm coming from. And I also hope that if this even helps one person that might be going through a tough time, or, you know, has had a setback in their life or something, that they can see, you know, it's not over. If you really work hard and it's something you really want, it sucks. It's a horrible thing that you have to start over, but sometimes it's for the best. You know, I'm doing something that I'm really proud of and I'm really happy with, and I hope I get to do it for the rest of my life and make these products and do something that really fulfills me. So thanks for coming on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. And we're almost there. We're in the home stretch now. We've just about made it. I can see the car. Well, we did it. Whew. I never thought I'd ever be able to get back to this point and be able to do something like this. You know, this is the longest I've walked without my walking cane in almost 2 years. And I really appreciate you guys coming with me. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, let me know. Thank you. It means the world. Whew. Okay. Please remember to like and subscribe. We have a lot of other content coming out. You know, check out the product now. It's live on our website, so go check that out, and we'll see you on the next one.